What on earth do doorknobs and soy sauce have to do with recruitment? Well, I'm going to tell you, okay? So just yesterday, I went down to get my usual, box of salmon deluxe sushi and a salmon roll from the sushi shop. I get the same thing every day, Monday to Thursday, because I can predict my insulin inputs, and it's a no-brainer. I don't have to think about lunch, right? Call me crazy, whatever. But I pay my usual $20, get my sushi, whatever. Don't think much of it. I get back to my desk, and because I'm a celiac, I had asked for gluten-free soy sauce. They neglected or forgot to put that into my pack. And you know what? It really ruined my sushi. I spent $20 on sushi. I love it. It's the bulk of the meal, the $20. Bulk of that $20 goes to the actual sushi. 5 cents probably is allocated to the soy sauce, right? But because I stuffed up the soy sauce component of it, ruined the whole meal. So a 5-cent component of that meal absolutely just made that a really annoying lunch for me, right? And so that's the soy sauce. Doorknobs. Where are doorknobs, right? Well, that then got me thinking about something a property developer once told me, which was when we build homes, right, the regulation and the code is there to say this is a strong building. The frame's going to be good. We're going to use great materials in the walls. We're going to make sure it's fire retardant, all this sort of stuff. The bulk of your spend when you're building a project, a building, a unit block or whatever, is in the foundations, in the structural integrity. It's in the building materials that you don't really see. You just assume that this is going to be a good build, right? But the thing that sells the building is not that. The thing that sells the building are your finishes, your fixtures. So if you make sure your door handles are fastened properly and they're good quality door handles, apparently that's going to sell the building. Because when you walk into that apartment to take a look to see if you want to buy it, what do? You touch that door handle and you open the door. And if that feels wobbly and shaky, your assumption is that maybe what else is loose and shaky and crumbly in this building. And your gut feel is, maybe the quality is not there. So he made a massive point of, if you fuck your door handles, you're not going to sell the building. Now, how much does the door handle cost in comparison to the entire build, right? You're talking millions of bucks to build an apartment block, and you're spending dollars and cents on door handles. But if you fuck that up, you're not going to sell any of it. These are two great examples, right? That you can have the bulk of your product perfect. You can have a perfect build. You can have perfect sushi. But at that finishing touch, the part where I actually interact, the soy sauce like this, it's gluten-free. That's the part for me. The door handle as you walk through. If you get that bit wrong, the cheapest, most easiest part to get right, then the perception is this sucks. This is crap. So it gets me to thinking, and I think you know where I'm going with this one, what is the equivalent in recruitment? And I don't even know if I have the answers, but it goes to prove that you could have the best recruitment process as an agency, right? You could have the best candidates. You could have the best accuracy. You could be filling these roles left, right, and center. But if you say the wrong thing, or you don't quite do like maybe your reference template's really awkward to look at, maybe there's something that you do that is really easy to fix, but it's quite irritating to clients or candidates. Maybe you neglect to follow up with someone. Maybe again, all these small little things. What part of your process is the gluten-free soy sauce? And what part of your process are the door handles? And only you will be able to answer that. I can give you ideas, but every recruitment agency has a slightly different way of doing things. They pride themselves on different things, have different approaches, different markets. But the crux of this episode is to get you to stop and think for a moment. What are the soy sauces and the door handles for my business? What are the parts that are really like low cost, low time investment, but they actually create massive impact? Like I always talk about when a deal goes south, like when a candidate falls out, maybe they've started and then you've got to do a replacement, how you respond in that moment of truth, in that, okay, you get the call from the client, they've left. Do you fight them on the replacement, or do you actually go, you know what, this sucks for everyone here, let's have a proper chat about it. How do you handle yourself there? There's countless examples within recruitment of their low cost, high impact parts of what we do, okay? And if you just stop for a moment and think, what are 3 really simple things I could be doing that I'm not doing, or 3 things that I'm doing at the moment that I could be doing better, and just jot them down and start thinking about how could I make sure that every time someone asks for gluten-free soy sauce, they get it? Or how do I make sure every time someone looks to inspect one of my buildings, the door handles are immaculate? What parts of your business are those elements? And making sure that you get them done. Because people don't buy they don't buy the features. They buy the what's in it for me. How am I going to feel about this? Right, the why. And we talk about that Simon Sinek stuff, but that is the crux of human nature. So if you are transacting and doing lots of placements, but the person who you're doing that with doesn't feel great about how you're doing it, or that you're irritating them in some way, then you got to fix that, because it won't matter if you're getting results. They just get annoyed by working with you for whatever thing you're doing. Maybe ask your clients, what could I be doing better? Give them this example. Say, I bought sushi the other day and I didn't get a 5-cent gluten-free soy sauce. It made me realize that it doesn't matter how good your sushi is. If you get this little tiny bit wrong, it can be quite irritating. What do I do that irritates you, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client? Great question to ask. Maybe you do a post-deal survey and you throw that in and just ask the question. But it's funny, like you start thinking about these things and you think, oh, yeah, I could probably do that better. What do I do post-deal with clients and candidates? Not a lot. Maybe I should do something a little bit better. That's the soft, like everyone's excited when the love's in the room. How are you pushing that in and making sure that, we can celebrate with them? Just have a think about it. It's going to help. It's all about what are these little tiny 1%ers we can do to really make a difference. I actually think this is quite a big one. So if you get the sense that maybe you're a bit of a transactional recruiter, this episode is going to help you, okay? So put in the effort, grab a coffee, sit down, jot some things down. What are these tiny little inflection points? What are these things I could do better? Maybe who can you ask to say, what do I do that irritates you? That's it. We're just trying to eradicate irritation. We're trying to remove question marks about our process. A great example for me is there are spelling errors, or your template for references is not clear, or it's got errors all through it. It's just a quality thing, right? It just feels low quality. How hard is spell check, right? And so when the client's handing over big sums of money for recruitment, they just assume we've got people there, and for whatever reason they want to devalue that. So when you start putting, bad CVs through and bad references through, they think, you're just lazy, right? That's what they think, and it's kind of true. We have spell check. I don't know how people have spelling errors on any document. I really don't know, but it happens. How many CVs do you see with spelling errors? And you go, how? How did this get through the keeper? You see my point. Like, share, subscribe, helps us grow. As always, have an amazing day. May all your deals come true.